one of the things I have witnessed is that a lot of coaches, they never ask why. Like it's a mine, they don't want to get close to it. But after they learn splatter and they gain some kind of trust and build rapport, they get to ask why at the end. And they like, oh, I've got a good answer now.
Well,
That's
the
one.
why gives you the reason or motivation or purpose. It will give you the reason for why someone's doing something. And that's huge from
That's very
coaching.
important. I remember there was one student of mine. He came back the next session after I taught Splatter, and he told me these questions resemble the Socratic questions.
They are
So what is
Socratic
the difference?
questions. They
Yeah.
are
So
Socratic
I told
questions.
yeah. So I told them the difference is that you ask why after you've got enough informations, not at the beginning.
Yes.
And you should have seen his eyes got bigger and bigger, like he had a moment, like wow. And I give you some feedback on Splatter. I use it for talking to AI, and
Yes.
AI understands it very well. And I've got many examples on my chat history that when I bring up an issue, put it in the Splatter model, the AI understands it and
Yes.
gives a very clear answer to me.
Yes.
If I'm not using a Splatter and just talking randomly to AI, it easily gets confused.
So if it works with AI in helping get clarity, can you see how it works with the human brain? And also,
That's
just
a
as a
good
little
question.
aside, it's a brilliant model for someone who's shy. Someone who's shy and not, because part of building a business, building a coaching business, you've got to network with people. You've got to go and talk to people. And very often people are very shy to talk about things. So you can start to use the splatter, that format to ask questions to people, and it gets people opening up and they're building rapport with you just by doing that.
You mean if I'm a shy person, or if the other
If you're, no,
other
if you're a
one is?
shy person, if you're a shy
Mhm.
person, you've got to go out and promote your business and you don't really want to talk, go and ask people splatter model questions. Say, okay, so what's the reason that you can talk about? So you're here today. Is this the only networking event you go to? Who do you normally meet when you're networking? Who are the type of people you want to meet?
Oh,
What's your,
that's a great approach.
so you just use that for all types of conversations.
That's a great approach. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for all the useful information about the splatter.
Yeah.
In the same way, would you please, you talked about RAFT, but
Mhm.
can you please elaborate more on how can business coaches apply it to deepen their clients' learning and results?
Okay, I created the RAFT model because I come from a sales background, and you can see everything I do coaching wise all linked to business. And I became very aware sales managers or managers in any area where they're working with KPIs, they're working with objectives, they're working with goals. If someone is not performing, they go straight to what do you need to do more of, what do you need to do less of. It's results, actions, results, actions, results, actions. And as I mentioned before, all behavior comes from a thought. So it's how someone is approaching something in their inside world, how they're feeling about doing something and what they're telling themselves and how they're expecting the outcomes. That is going to have a huge impact on the results that someone gets. So an example of that is if someone is really low in their sales target and they've got to go and see a customer and they're really uncomfortable with that customer and say, I'm not comfortable with that customer. That customer scares me. I get really nervous. If they're telling themselves they get really nervous, they'll start to feel nervous and they'll go in being nervous, which will probably end up with not the type of result they want. Now, there could be another client that they're very comfortable. I really like that. I'm comfortable with that customer, and then go and ask good questions and get. So what we do with the RAFT, we look at the undesired result first of all. So we get something that someone has not been successful at. And we can take it as simple as passing a driving test. So if someone doesn't pass a driving test, so you work with the results first, you didn't pass your test. Okay, what did you do or not do? Well, I took some driving lessons, I practiced, but I didn't really practice a lot. What were you saying? How did you feel when you went for your test? I really wasn't confident. What were you saying to yourself? I'm not really ready. So you've actually got a strategy of how someone didn't get a result or got an unsuccessful result. Then we go to the success strategy, and I'll just stick in this situation, I'll stick the driving in. So they passed the driving test. So what did you do? I practiced 5 times a week. I went out and practiced, drove 5 times a week. I took 2 lessons a week, and they'll actually get very, very specific at what they did. How did you feel? And it's before you went to the situation. It's not after. That's the difference between the rafts. Because let me go back to the not passing the driving test. If you ask someone you didn't pass your driving test, and if they say I felt disappointed, that doesn't fit in the raft because disappointment comes here after they've got the result. We're getting someone to take their mind back to before they did that. So then they passed the driving test, they did everything they had to do. How did you feel? I felt confident. I'm ready for this. They were actually saying to themselves, I'm ready for this. And that way you've got the person that you're coaching, it's the coach gets the person they're coaching to write down so that your client writes down the RAFT model. You then get your client to compare the successful outcome with the unsuccessful outcome and then discuss what could they have done more of or less of in the successful outcome that could have changed the unsuccessful outcome. So you're getting your client to verbalize their success strategies and take responsibility for making changes. You're not
Great.
telling them what to do. You've helped them become really clear about what works and what doesn't work. And in lots of cases is they haven't done enough or they're telling themselves the wrong thing.